Happy Tuesday, everybody. I am Monica Sigmon, Sony Artisan of Imagery, and we are here for episode 7 of Sony Alpha Female, the interviews, in which I get to just have my little dream job over here of talking to all kinds of amazing female creators from our Sony community. And today we have Dr. Tomayia Colvin. Everybody. I am Monica Sigmon, Sony Artisan of Imagery, and we are here for episode 7. Hang on, somebody's echoing. So let's see. Okay, perfect. All right. So as I was saying, we are here today with Dr. Tomayia Colvin, and I'm so excited to see you, Tomayia.
Hello. Good to see you again.
You know, that portrait that comes up of you on our little ad for this, it just makes me smile. It just makes me happy. And like, you're just one of these people that has such great energy at the same time.
Thank you.
I'm trying not to use the word but this year. I'm always trying to use and instead of but. And it's been a very interesting exercise. So, and you at the same time are one of the most real and transparent people that I know. You don't hide anything from your audience. You're a very prolific educator in our industry, a portrait photographer, a Sony Artisan of Imagery. You have your own education business, your own conference. We're going to talk about all these things. And it would be very easy to watch somebody with your standing and just go, oh my gosh, like life is perfect, right? I mean, life is perfect. Maya has no problems. But you've always been very transparent. And I think in that way, very reassuring and comforting to so many people. So thank you for being you. And we are going to find out a lot more about you today. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on today. I appreciate that.
I'm very excited. And you're wearing that same beautiful lipstick that you wear in your headshot too.
I am. Yes, I am.
So
and I like
met. It looks great on you. We met because we are both Sony artisans. And yes. You got in, like you joined the program a year or two before I did. And so when I got to go to my first condo trip, which is kind of like Sony camp for just a beautiful retreat for the ambassadors and corporate. You were so kind to me and so welcoming, and you made me feel like I had always been a part of the group. And I was so nervous going, and I will never forget that first dinner. You were sitting next to me. You don't even remember, I'm sure. But
no, I don't even know. I don't even know this story. So keep talking. I don't even know
listen, story. I'm the only one that remembers this. Brooke Shaden broke my heart because I gave her this whole long story about how when we first met and how it's like indelibly marked in my memory and how meaningful it was. And she just looked at me and says, I don't remember any of that. You know how she is like totally flat. I don't remember any of that. And I'm like, could you have just pretended? So yes, but you sat next to me at dinner, and actually I think it's great that you don't remember it because it means it was just naturally you. You know, you like for people to feel comfortable. You're a no BS kind of girl, which I love. What you see is what you get. So we have a lot to talk about today, and I'm super excited. Tell our audience, just go through a little walkthrough of kind of your history in photography super quick, like portrait photographer, educator, or, you know,
all the things.
All the things.
So I guess it's interesting. I let's see. I went into education out of college, and so I tell everybody that my very first love is actually teaching. That is my super duper first love, and kind of fell into photography after having a scrapbooking business, and fell into the space of taking photos for those scrapbooks. And then quickly realized that education was changing, and I was in a space where Grace and Ivory were small. And I wanted to be the mom that was in the school ride pickup line. I wanted to be the chaperone. I wanted to make the lunches for the kids at the games. I wanted to do all of those things, and I felt like education at the time was changing so much that me being at the school caring for other people's kids was pretty much kind of taking me out of the space of being mom to my kids. And so
Mhm.
obviously Grace is in college now and Ivory's getting ready to go to college. And so obviously life is changing again, right? But started Tomayia Colvin education and really focus on the business, the marketing side of photography. Started taking high school senior pictures, and then now I'm in the space of doing a lot of personal branding photos for women entrepreneurs.
I mean, and if you don't have enough to do with all of that, you
Yeah.
started, how many years has it been for the photo cookout?
This is year 7.
I don't really know what's happening to my Zoom right now with the
But
balloon.
it was some balloons and it was
I
cute.
know.
So
See, ta-da, year 7 of the photo cookout.
yeah, so this is 12 days from now, we will be at year 7.
And tell us a little bit about
Wow.
what that event is, because it's very, very unique, I think.
Um, It is very unique. So the Photo Cookout is my photography conference that I launched 7 years ago. And the culture and the dynamic of the industry at the time was a bit different than what it looks like now. And so I wanted to make sure that Black photographers and photographers of color had a space to congregate, network, and learn. And so that's how the Photo Cookout was born. And so the goal there, honestly, on year 1, I was like, okay, this is cool. Like, we're just gonna have a taco truck. We're gonna eat tacos because what event is not great without tacos?
Right.
And have a cookout in the park. Somebody, turns on the grill, and we just have a good time fellowshipping. And here we are, 12 days away from our 7th conference.
So,
Yeah,
how many people are attending this year?
about 100. Yeah.
And you still have some openings, right? If people by the end of this they fall more in love with you and they're like, I'm
Oh,
gonna go
absolutely.
hang
Yeah.
out with Tomayia for a
I'm
few.
in there. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna
Yeah.
drop that link in the chat and then on the YouTube channel for anybody who wants to dive in on that. Where is it this year?
It's going to be back in New Orleans. I like New Orleans. People like New Orleans. It's easy to get to, and the people of New Orleans are so hospitable that, and I mean, who doesn't love the food in New Orleans as
Oh
well?
my
So no one
gosh.
ever really complains when I say, "Oh, we're going back to New Orleans." They're like, "Oh yeah, okay, that's a great time." Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, What what do you think? I mean, obviously you've shared your mission for that
Mhm.
um conference, and like you said, the industry is different now, but that
Right.
conference is still exceedingly popular and relevant. And so I'm curious why and how you think the industry has changed and why, in what ways, and then why you think this conference is still so important for its attendees.
Okay, so I think post George Floyd, I think a lot of vendors and spaces understood like the importance of the communities of Black and Brown people. And so it's still super duper important to have spaces in which we can feel safe, that we can connect and share our experiences with each other. So I think if we have to always think about it is that even for us that are listening, we always want to have a safe space. Like, who doesn't want to be in a space where you can just let your hair down? It's often that I will come in the morning and do an opening speech looking glam, and
Mhm.
by lunch I'm in sweats and a t-shirt.
Yeah,
Um, and it's not it's not a whole lot of places that the conference owner comes in, gives a dynamic opening speech, and then in the afternoon has on jeans, t-shirts, and some Crocs,
right.
and everybody's, yeah.
So, do you feel that, what do you think the biggest industry change has been since George Floyd?
I think people recognizing that there are some differences and that I think that's pretty much it. Just recognizing that there are industries, I mean, that there were some differences and just acknowledging them and everybody working towards a common goal to ensure that everyone has a safe space and that
Mhm.
all conferences and workshop are inclusive.
I think that's so important because for so long, I think that, you know, nobody wanted to acknowledge the differences because then, we thought that that was the wrong thing to do. And I just feel like people like you and so many others have just really helped bring that conversation forward for greater understanding. And I think that, you are kind of leading that or were leading and still in the forefront of creating space and creating space for people to, like you said, commune, feel comfortable. Do you feel like the photo cookout will be eventually more diverse in its attendees, or do you feel like you really want it to stay this community of Black photographers for this very specific reason?
Yeah, what's interesting is that the photo cookout community has always been inclusive. And pretty much anybody and everybody just comes.
Right.
And so there's not like a link to like, oh, because people send an email, I'm white, can I come? That is like a legit question
Yeah.
that people used to ask. And I'd be like, yeah, come on, like
Yeah.
whatever. And yeah, it is. And I think that as we continue to grow, and we partner with different organizations like Sony and like with WPPI in the spring, then people get to expand their safe spaces as well and to be able to say, oh, I like those people. Let's go, and we're
Yeah.
all together. Yeah.
Good. I just wanted you to clarify that because I don't want people to not attend because they have
Yeah.
a wrong notion about it. So
No, you
congratulations.
can come,
That's
but you can't cook anything just yet.
that's hilarious. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, you
Well,
can come.
okay, so we're going to drop that link in the chat somewhere for people to check it out. And
Okay.
again, we'll put that on the YouTube replay as well. Okay, so photo
Okay.
cookout, check. Um, the other thing that I find really interesting about you is that I feel, and I don't know you as well as I may know some of the other um, girls that I've interviewed, but I feel that you are one of those driven people who is never satisfied with the status quo. Like you're always challenging yourself and thereby the people around you. Would you say that that's accurate?
I would say yes, because I think the last 2 months I was learning how to swim. And being very, very honest in that quest of learning how to swim, or swim better, I should say. Still do not drop me off in the ocean because I'm not 100% sure of that just yet. Um, so I will have on a life vest. And then recently, over the last month, I am now playing pickleball, which is fun. And then yesterday I joined a pickleball league of all things. So yeah, I
You
am.
go all in. When you do something, you go
Oh
all
man, that's what my friends said. My friends are like, man, when you're in something, man, you're like all in. And
like
so it's
you're buying like the attire and like
absolutely,
all of the things. Yeah, you're
that
in.
is correct. There is a pink tennis skirt on the way today from Amazon that should be delivered by 4 o'clock. So
Love
yes.
love it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so back to swimming.
Yeah.
Like, where did like, pickleball is popular now. A lot of people are doing pickleball. Like, I could see, like, if your friends are playing pickleball, you want to learn. But, like, where did the swimming thing cover? Like, what started that? Why did you want to learn to swim?
So I've always wanted to learn how to swim, but I've always been like deathly afraid of the water.
Really?
And
Where does
so
that come from?
yeah,
Where does that come
I don't
from?
know. Black people don't be swimming like that. I don't know. I don't know. That's
You
I
know,
don't know. I can't
Brooke is
I
afraid
can't
of bathtubs. Brooke is deathly afraid of
bathtubs.
bathtubs. Yes.
No,
Ask
we
her
take
about it
baths.
next time.
I
She
don't
can't do
know.
bathtubs.
No, not the bathtub, but definitely the swimming pool. So I think that I wanted to just kind of get over that fear because I've taken like swim classes before. Um, and it was fine, but I wasn't like necessarily like super duper comfortable in that space, right? And so this time I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and take classes, right? So I kind of started off like at the neighborhood pool, and then my daughter, who is a lifeguard, was like, "Mommy, wait a minute, you didn't learn how to float yet?" And I was like, "Nope." You didn't learn how to do such, and I was like, "Nope, I don't know how to do that either." And she was like, "Oh no, you're gonna need to go to a different class." So I snuck and signed myself up for private lessons to learn how to swim.
That is amazing. And I love that you come to that with such humility. So I have a lifeguard story because I lifeguarded for 7 years in high school and college. And I guarantee you, I am a worse swimmer than you. Like I am the worst swimmer.
No way.
No, I'm so bad. And when they did the tryouts, like you have to like, swim like a certain distance or whatever in a certain
Right.
time. I was so bad that I don't even know if I've ever admitted this to anybody, but I was like kicking off the floor of the pool because I was such a bad swimmer and I had asthma. And I was just like, I'm never going to pass this test. So I was like, literally, like, it was bad. It was bad. It was bad. I did save a life though. So
Oh, that's good.
I
Saving
feel
your
like
life is
I,
good.
I redeemed myself, but long distance swimming was not for me. I can jump in and save somebody, but don't make me carry 100
For like
yards.
across.
Yeah, no,
Oh man. Okay,
no.
so okay. So I know, okay, we can go swimming, but we have to be careful. Okay.
Yes, we have to stay close to each other and
Yes.
preferably somewhere where I can have my feet touched.
Oh yeah, I'm not swimming where I can't swim, where I can't like touch the water, so that touch the
Yeah.
floor. So that's fine. That's we're on the
Okay.
same page.
Okay, good. So swimming, now pickleball, but
Mhm.
also in your businesses. I feel like, okay, so you started as a portrait photographer,
Yeah.
then pretty quickly, it sounds like, started Tomayia Colvin Education, TCE, as those of us
Uh-huh.
who know like to call it. And then now you're doing the cookout. And for instance, we had the opportunity to do a pitch at our last Sony retreat. And
Mhm.
not only did you pull something together very quickly, but it was excellent.
Thank
And
you.
that was kind of like another little spin-off idea. So I feel like where does the drive come from? Like, were you scarred as a child? Like, what has happened in your life that has made you feel like not only should I do all of these different things, but I can do all these different things?
That's interesting. That's a very interesting question. I don't think that I've ever been in a space of a child, um, except
Mm,
in the space of entrepreneurship where someone said that I couldn't do something.
mm.
My dad and my mom and my grandparents have always been in a space of like I remember that there was like I was going to build like a NASA spaceship, like for a school project.
Of course you were.
And yeah, but it was supposed to be like this tiny, like little thing, right? And the day that I went to school, I showed up with like a 3 foot NASA spaceship, right? Because my entire family was in on the project with me, right? So
That's
I've never been,
amazing.
yeah, so I've never been in a space where now they may say like, okay, well, wait, what are you thinking there? Are you sure about that? And I'd be like, not really, but we'll figure it out along the way. And so I think in this season of my life is I like the necklace that I have on today says like fearless.
Mm.
And I don't want to put myself in a space of where I like could have done something and I didn't, right? So I rather try and fail horribly, or learn from that situation versus like not trying at all,
That is
if that
so
makes sense.
important. I think so many of us avoid doing things just because we're afraid to fail. And like literally, what is the worst thing that can happen? You tried it
Yeah.
and it didn't work, but it paralyzes us, myself included,
Right.
on many fronts. Like it
Mhm.
just paralyzes us. And it sounds like your family did not put limitations on you or limiting beliefs on you, because
Never.
you've not come to any of these challenges with the notion that the world will fall apart if it doesn't work or whatever. So, what is the best advice you could give someone like me or other people who we know logically, we know intellectually the world won't stop turning if this thing that we want to try doesn't work, but we
Right.
still are hesitant or almost even paralyzed where we don't want to do it because we don't want to fail. Like, what advice do you have for us to push through that?
I think going into the idea that you're going to fail,
Hmm.
just acknowledging the fact that I'm going to fail, like I'm a fail. Um, like that's it. And I think that was for me, like, failure or the perception that I failed kept me paralyzed for so long because I was afraid that people would know that I wasn't perfect or that I did fail or that something wasn't perfect, right? And so once I got of the habit of just saying, screw it, I'm not perfect. I messed up. This is not going to be the biggest or greatest thing since sliced bread, but I am continuing on this journey and I'm not going to give up. And I think that's the key if I'm just being honest, like just recognizing that this is not going to be perfect. So like it's over there, but like my sheets of my plan for like quarter 4 are like sitting right over there, right? And I've been writing them out and doing all the things, but there are parts to that are not going to be perfect, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to put it out there. I'm
Right.
going to put it out there and I'm going to adjust along the way.
So that expression of done is better than perfect,
Yeah,
which I have
absolutely.
really wrestled with, but I think I'm making progress on that front in the last few years. But was there a moment, was there a breakthrough where that switch flipped for you? Was there something that happened that you were just like, okay, no more. I've gotta just push through.
Yeah, I would want to say probably because if the cookout started like 7 years ago, I would probably say like in that 8 year or so, and probably right around that time, I think I said, screw it, I'm just gonna go for it.
Hmm.
Um, and just whatever happens is what happens. And I think it's not that I'm not cognizant of people watching and people knowing that something isn't perfect or different things like that. It's not that. I do acknowledge that, but I don't let it paralyze me where I stop. So I think that's the once you put it out there and get the critique, right? And get the fact that someone's going to make a mean and nasty comment like on a YouTube video that you post that, it's like somebody's going to say something, some guy is going to mansplain something if you post a photo. Like you just know it's going to happen, right? And so I think as long as you realize that, okay, once I put this out here that um I'm not perfect, then screw you. So like my very first YouTube
Can we put
video,
that on? Can we put that on a t-shirt, please? I'm not
like
perfect. And then on
screw
the
you.
back, just yeah, screw you.
Yeah. So like
Okay.
my very first YouTube video, it's horrible. You can go to my page and look at it. It is horrible,
So
right?
you've left it up. You never took it
I left
down.
it up. Oh,
Yeah.
it's there. But the entire point was for me to get over my fear of hitting post. That was the entire point of me posting it. It wasn't for like, I didn't know, like now I'm sitting here with like Rode microphones, podcasts, microphone, Sony cameras here, professional lighting there, like all the things, right? But that first video, honey, it is trash. Listen, yes, it is. It is on iPhone. I didn't have a microphone. I think I didn't even have a I think I used the Sony EV1 for one of them, one of the videos, but the light went down, so then that was a whole different story. But it was horrible. Like it's just horrible. But I still hit post. And then I posted in the comments was like, and if you don't like it, don't say nothing. Just go away.
Yeah.
Like this comment isn't, this video is not for you if you are looking for perfection.
Oh, good. So you just gave yourself that permission.
Yeah. And you know, somebody still commented and was like, this is horrible. And I was like, so
Yeah. So how do you okay, so do you still get haters and trash talkers? Okay. So how do you handle that? Like not handle it between you and them because you probably don't acknowledge them or whatever, but how do you handle that mentally so that it does not disrupt your mission and what you're trying to do?
So I used to like argue online all the time with people, all the time. Like I would like live for a dumpster fire on Facebook. Like I'm not gonna even lie. Like I would be so, oh my gosh. But now I'm in a different season of my life, right? So, you know, you got some more tools in your tool belt. And so now I don't necessarily engage online. Like I'll just go be like, oh, whatever, man.
But does it like, is there any internal dialogue that follows? Like, does it work in what their goal is to like plant seeds of doubt in your brain? Does any of that work?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm human. So, I'm not going to say like if somebody says something rude to me or says something that to hurt my feelings, that my feelings are not going to hurt because I'm human. And so my feelings are going to hurt. But one of the things that the therapist lady said at Condo is that when you have those feelings of like anxiety and self-doubt, and even grief for me, that's just a sign that you're breathing and you're alive. It's not like a
Wow.
bad thing.
Yeah.
It's just that you're human and you're going to feel all the feels.
Yeah. And you've just got to push forward.
You just got to push forward. Yeah.
So one thing that I learned probably a couple of years ago, and I really try and share it every time I teach or speak or whatever, is when we're nervous, whether it's as a photographer in a session and we're nervous in front of our clients because we don't feel like we're really all that, or they're going to see through us, right, quote unquote, or we don't know the gear as well as we should. We don't know how to pose seven people, whatever, all those things that make us nervous
Hmm.
prevent us from really making a great connection with the subject in front of us, which is the most important thing.
Right.
And I always say, when you're nervous about yourself, when you're thinking about yourself, then you are unable to think about the person in front of you and how you can serve them.
Right.
And so when it's not in a negative connotation, the word selfish, but in the Webster dictionary word selfish, it is a selfish mindset because we're thinking about ourselves and what we're worried about. And so I always try and think like, okay, if I'm starting to feel uneasy like that, then I'm getting away from my mission, which is to make the person in front of me feel
Hmm.
great.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't have the following you have, so I don't have the haters you have. But I think that if I did, I would try and think about that. But man, people are just mean and it's just gotten worse, I feel. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
there's no fence around the play box anymore, around the sandbox anymore.
No. No.
So you're able to see past that and keep pushing. And what we're going to talk about marketing for the fall here in a minute. But do you have the next idea? Like Photo Cookout is probably the biggest thing you've done, right? So is there something after that? Do you have the next vision board drawn out? Do you have the next idea?
So I have what's next for me. And that's what's on the sheet over there. And I would like to, or I'm going to move into the space of serving all entrepreneurs and not just photographers.
That's fantastic.
Um, And so that's my next stage in my life is just getting out of the safety net of photographers and then just being bold enough to walk into a new space of entrepreneurs that don't know who I am.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, I'm sure that will happen because everything you say happens. So, okay, so let's shift gears and
Okay.
want to talk quickly about virtual assistants because this is a
Okay.
conversation we had at Condo. We can't go through all of the conversation. However, you have been
Okay.
very open and transparent about virtual assistants and how you use them. And I always think like, oh my God, that sounds great, Tomayia, but how do I even get started? Or like, then I got to find the right, how do I find the right person or, whatever. So do you have like 3 or 4 tips or tricks or pieces of advice that you would give somebody or reasons why they should be examining that option?
So I think, well, for me, right, I can't speak for everybody else, but for me, um, one of the things that I consider is this the best use of my time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is
Mm-hmm.
this the best use of my time? Is me typing a Google document the best use of my time, or is the better use of my time writing out the vision for 2025?
Mm-hmm.
So if you decide like which one is most important to me, right? Then writing out the vision for 2025 using my creative space in there, and then having someone else help me like jot out like the notes as I'm going forward.
I think that's so important because as entrepreneurs, we think we should do everything. I mean, the,
Right,
the photographic equivalent of that is retouching, right? Like
right.
for years and years and years, everybody felt like they were the only ones that could do their
And retouch,
retouching the
yeah.
best way.
Mm-hmm.
And now hopefully the majority of the marketplace, I think now understands that while we can retouch our own images, we shouldn't
You don't
retouch
have
our
to.
own images because we can outsource that for so much less money than what we can make in the same amount of time if
And
we
do
are
you know
sticking
that
forward to that.
I was outsourcing my editing a long time ago. So
Mm,
a lot of people just started this thing like within like the last year or so.
yeah,
I have probably been outsourcing my photos for probably at least 5 or 6 years,
yeah,
at
yeah,
least.
yeah.
Because I found that I didn't like editing. So that was the first thing to go.
So give us 3 things besides editing. Give us 3 things that you have a virtual assistant do for you.
So one of them is that like I type. I mean, I am not a typer. I mean, not a typer, but I am a writer. So
Hmm.
like I write down like multiple thoughts of my whatever I'm thinking, right? And so sometimes I will send somebody a note to say, "Will you type this up for me?" Um, etc. I've had virtual assistants for like my social media marketing, putting that out there. And then I've even had like copywriters that I met with to like kind of put out the emails and kind of formulate them. But I think with the AI and all the tools that we have right now, I think copywriting is changing,
Hmm.
not necessarily differently, but is going in a little bit of a different direction. So yeah, so anything that I don't like, I typically outsource.
What's a common misperception about using a VA?
That is going to be easy.
Okay. That's a good one.
That's a
Um,
Yeah, that's a kind of misconception that it's going to be easy.
Because it's
Um,
like garbage in, garbage out, right? Like you still have to train
you'll have
somebody
to
to
train,
either use
right?
your voice or understand your brand or, whatever the things are.
Yeah, so I think the onboarding process is probably the most daunting part of
Mm,
hiring someone, that I think that's why people don't do it, because you're like, well, hell, I just spent all this time hiring somebody. Hell, I could have just done it myself,
done it
right?
myself.
Right. So it's kind of like stopping yourself in that thought of being like, okay, but if I go do this, then I get to go to the park with my kid, right?
Mhm.
So it may be like a very small compromise right now for me to do the onboarding, right? But it will save me future time, not
Right,
time today, but like future time.
right. And I think one thing that I learned from you that surprised me was you don't have a virtual, like one virtual assistant that
No,
handles all of the things. You have
no,
many for
multiple.
different purposes.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
So
the
I
person
have
that's doing
one,
your social media is not, whatever.
the same person that's doing the typing. No. And it's interesting that I was at a marketing kind of like gathering like 2 weeks ago. And this lady owns a social media agency. And we were almost kind of like in the same thought process of hire people for their strengths and
Mhm,
not necessarily for everything. Right?
mhm,
So
mhm.
if you're really good at Instagram Reels, then I should not have you doing my copywriting.
Right,
Does that
right,
make
right.
sense?
Yeah,
Like let you, yeah, like let you operate in your greatness in that space, and then I will have somebody else operate in their greatness for copywriting, and
that's
then we
such a
all
good
come together
point.
to make it beautiful.
Because
Uh-huh.
as portrait photographers too, like I always say, we don't want to be generalists. It's okay if you want to start as a generalist to figure out what you want your
Like
specialty
what your thing
to
is.
be.
Yeah.
But generalists, as a rule, are not regarded with the most respect or reverence or therefore paycheck as a specialist, right?
Right.
So that's a really interesting way to think of VAs because I just thought I was supposed to hire one and they were going to do all the things.
I
So,
mean, some people do. Like there are some, right? Like they say, like a Jill of something, master of none, right?
yeah, yeah.
So I've just found that if you only person here is just responding to my emails, that's her only job is emails, then my emails are always going to be answered, right? Now, if I ask you to do my emails, um, and post on social media, okay, that it could work. And not saying it won't. It could, but I would rather have somebody that specializes in the social media marketing piece
Mhm.
and someone else who's happy doing something else.
So you interview them just as you would an employee or, somebody like live physically on your team.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
where do you've told me, but I want you to share I know, why did I have to qualify that I already know this answer? Like I'm afraid somebody's going to think I don't know something. Where do you hire the most of your VAs from? From where do you hire the most VAs?
So from Upwork. Yeah,
Upwork. Yeah.
from
And is
Upwork.
there like a top no-no that you want to share with us about working with or hiring VAs?
Oh my gosh. Oh, the top no-no. I think Prue is watching too. We've been having some conversation about these VAs. So I think the top no-no is like going with the cheapest person.
Ah, okay. Great advice.
Going with the cheapest person is going to cost you way more money in the long term, in the long run, versus hiring a better candidate up front, right?
Right.
Because like although this person may be like $8 an hour, right? And that's kind of the high end if you're hiring international, but like this person may be like $8 an hour, right? Or sometimes six. And you're like, oh, this is great. This is the one, right? It's like, oh, she's gonna get all these hours done. Okay, but if it takes her 2 hours to do one thing that a higher priced person could have done in 1 hour, it's the same amount of time and probably less frustrating for you.
Right. Right. And you told me, I think that you had somebody that you actually paid more
Yeah,
than was their rate because you were just so happy with them and you wanted them to stay dedicated to you on their
yeah.
priority list. So you paid them more so that they felt valued and rewarded. And yeah,
Mhm.
love it.
Yeah. So typically, I am not a low tier payer.
Mhm,
Even if they are internationally, I still try to pay like a comparable rate.
mhm.
Not US rate, but somewhere a happy medium. Especially if this person is well qualified to do the job.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, ready to switch gears?
Sure.
I want to talk about marketing for Q4. So
Okay, let's talk
it's
about it. Okay.
October 1st.
Woo!
And so my first question for you is it too late for photographers who have not yet planned out Q4? Is it too
Mhm.
late for them to scramble and get their act together?
So let's be honest. Nobody has a Q1, Q4 plan today. Let's just, just cut the shit. Like nobody has that done. Like, let's be for real, guys. Like, no,
No,
like nobody has that.
but we
Like,
still have time.
everybody
I
has
mean,
time because
asking
nobody
for a
has done
friend.
it.
We're asking for a
Yeah.
friend. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're asking for yourself and you
Yep.
have not, even if you're on my email list, and I've been honing on this like the entire week, like rah, 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 that even if you don't have your marketing plan mapped out for the rest of the year, is totally fine because in real life, nobody does.
Okay. So what would you suggest that, again, asking for a friend, what would you suggest that people start with today?
So today I would like for people to just do really big high level, like what do you want Q4 to look like? Like just like super big, like throw darts at the wall. Like what do you want for this year, right? Do you want to end this out with who knows, like 20,000, over the next 3 months? Um, First, like what's your financial goal? And then second thing, like what is that thing that you want? So do you want like booked and busy, like mini sessions? Is that your goal? Do
Mhm.
you want, and it doesn't, even though you're a photographer, your goals do not have to be necessarily like aligned to like photo shoots, right?
Right.
It could
Right.
be that you want to, like, you've pitched for something and you want to put that into action for Q4, right? Like
Right.
you want to do your personal project by the end of the year. You could want to necessarily host like an open house this quarter, or you could absolutely work on like your collaborations for this quarter. So it could be super duper loose, although you are a photographer and or creative. It doesn't have to be locked into and or tied to photo shoots.
I'm in a small mastermind group. There's 6 of us, and we meet every other Tuesday like clockwork, and every other Tuesday morning. And so we met this morning, and we are all, I don't know if you're finding this with your students, Tomayia, but we have a lot of friends in the industry who are just saying this year's been a little off.
Mhm.
And so people are a little bit panicking going into the last 3 months of the year, and will they be able to recover and that kind of thing. And so we were discussing that, and one of the people suggested, and I think it's such a great idea, is building a vision board this week for just what you want the rest of the year to look like. So because we're so used to vision boards happening in January, and now it's
Right, right,
October, it's
right,
too
right. I
late to
love
do a
that.
vision board. But they just had a
Yeah.
really good idea of, again, just roughing it out, high level vision board for the next couple months. We use a software program called Milanote. It's a web-based software, milanote.com, and we use it for storyboarding for our clients, but it's also really good for things like this because it's easy to even screenshot something on your phone, and then it appears in the web-based app, and you can
Oh, I
drag it
love
to
that.
the right
Okay.
columns or whatever. And so that's something that we have challenged each other to do in this first week of October, to just say it's not too late, and we can still take charge and be proactive for the next couple months.
Yeah.
So are you hearing from your photography community also that other people are just kind of stressed this year? It's not quite what they expected?
Yeah, I think that in every space, not just photography, this year is a little bit different, right? If we're being honest. Like today
Right,
started a the with the shipment thing, right? So they're on
right,
strike, right?
right, right, right,
Right. Right. So you can't open Q4 and pretend as though we're in January 1st and
right.
like life is this very perfect space, right? And
Magical
so if
thinking.
we
Yeah.
realize like, okay, so now we're in Q4, there's a strike happening and people are uncertain about what's going to happen for the rest of the year. And it's an election year. So we
Mhm.
started off October 1st with a strike and election in November. And what the hell is going to happen in December, right?
Right,
So you
right.
can't like sit and plan and be like, oh, no, this is real life, right? So I think somebody posted already the grocery store doesn't have any bread, right?
Oh, you're kidding.
Right, exactly. So, and I live
Wait,
in a
hold on.
space.
Let me do my Instacart really quick while you're
Yeah, you
talking.
might want to go ahead and do your Instacart order like ASAP, right? So, somebody was like, oh, I was like, oh, do we still have toilet paper? And somebody was like, no. And I was like, oh, okay. So I just put I put some toilet paper in my Amazon cart,
Yeah,
right? So it's just like, that's real life. And I would not be who I am if I sat here and be like, oh, yeah, life is perfect today. Like, ain't no
right,
way. Like,
right.
nobody has their marketing plan for Q4. People are buying toilet paper and bread right now. Like, let's be honest, right? And so,
It's like,
having
it sounds
said
like a
that,
snowstorm prediction in Virginia. We're all at the market buying milk, bread, and toilet paper.
right, right. Like, let's not pretend that. And then I'm in a space where hurricanes are like our best friends right now, right?
Mhm.
So to say that this is this perfect workspace, that's not untrue, right? But having said that, then you adjust your marketing in such a way that it makes sense that, okay, so maybe this is my clients are now at the grocery store, like buying bread and toilet paper and different things, water, etc. I have no water in my house, by the way. As we speak, I'm drinking Coke. That's why. So if we're all in that space, right? So for me, what's important today? Yep, I'm gonna need some water. I'm gonna need some toilet paper. I think I have 3 rolls left, and etc. Right? So, but I have a bidet, so I'll be fine. But that doesn't mean that I'm serious. Like, it's just real life. So that doesn't mean that me taking photos with my family is less important. It doesn't mean that.
I
It
love
just
that.
means that. Does that make sense? Like, it doesn't mean that that's less important. That just means that my priority today, I still know in the back of my brain that I need to get family photos done for the fall. But today's need is I'm gonna need toilet paper or
So
some
I
water.
love that. I love, love, love that. So what is your, and I do see a question and we're gonna, Eric, I see that question. We're gonna come back to that in just a minute. Thank you for sending that in. So what is your advice for photographers like us out in the marketplace, making our full-time, Michael and I, this is our only income, this is our full-time
Thanks.
job, working
Yeah.
photographers. And
Mhm.
so, yes, we know with great conviction, or we would not have chosen this profession in which to make a living, but we know with great conviction that families still need portraits, that children still need to see family portraits on their walls. How do
Absolutely.
we convey that messaging in a way that is not pushy, not gross, but convincing to people who are trying to, get bread or water, or people of wealth that are just trying to make sure with this uncertainty in the election that they're not trying to spend unnecessarily?
So I still think that even with all of that, I still get inquiries every day for single portraits.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that you still don't get the work. It just may look different for your client.
So if
Because
we aren't getting, for photographers who aren't getting the phone ringing as, it's so funny. So one of the number one signs of stress that manifests in different ways in your body. And so one of them is eye twitching. Like, I don't know if you've ever had like so it's happening to me right now. Like, I swear my eye
I'm
has
sorry if I stressed you out. I'm gonna let you get your Instacart order, but go ahead.
No, it's so funny because all of a sudden my eyes started twitching and I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? So okay, so for us, we have so our studio turns 25 next year. So we've been around the block a minute. And I know I don't look old enough, but so we have noticed forever that in an election year, it's quiet. It's quiet up until and fourth quarter, we make 41% of our income between Labor Day and Christmas. So this is
Okay.
our busy time.
So,
Um,
yeah.
so when we have an election year, it's very slow until the day after the election. Doesn't matter even who won, but the day after the election
It's
is
just
when the
after.
phone
Okay.
starts ringing. So, so we, and in fact, 2 years ago, the midterms were so important that we noticed it that fall as well. And so we kind of are expecting it. We go into this knowing it, but there are just, it's still an uncertain time for all of us. And even if we've been in business for 25 years or if we've been in business for 25 months, right? Or 2 months, it's still like, oh my gosh, what is happening? And how do we, like, that's awesome, Tomayia, that your phone is still ringing with seniors. But for people whose phone is not still ringing for seniors or whatever, what advice do you have for them while we're still in this weird kind of time?
So let me be honest, my phone is ringing for seniors is because not that my work is the greatest, is because I put in the work for SEO. That's what
Okay.
my phone is.
Okay.
Yes.
Love
Yes.
that. Thank you for clarifying that.
No, no,
Uh,
no. I'm just saying it's not that
yeah.
it's like, oh no, like humble brag.
Right.
Like the guy that hired.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
My phone is still ringing. My phone is ringing because during COVID, and during the quiet time, right? And that's a part as well, that even when it is quiet, then you drop little seeds along the way you plant. And so they harvest in the spring,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So my Sony camera died. Hold on. I didn't
I'm
charge the
like,
battery.
where
It's
did it
okay.
go? There we go.
So
Perfect.
I'm switching cameras.
Yeah. Look at you
So
at
it's
the
not
ready with the backup camera. That was impressive.
no, 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 no. This is the computer camera now.
I know, but still.
Um, oh yeah. So I just made sure to clean up behind me just in case. So so no, just like even though it's like quiet, like don't assume that that's bad, right? It's like, are you looking at the glass half empty or half full? If it is quiet, that means that you have time to blog. That means that you have time to upload your photos to Pinterest, that you still have time to make a TikTok. Like if you don't have anything to do, then you definitely have time to market,
You
right?
were
So you
cracking
just
me up. No, you're
what?
cracking me up because at our mastermind meeting this morning, we were talking about optimists and pessimists, and I said, I've never been accused of being an optimist, and I'm not sure there's water in the glass. I think my glass is air drying most of the time. So I love that you are like reiterating this part of what we had this discussion about this morning because it is important. It is important.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am trying to connect the dots here because we're almost to an end of our hour. So you're challenging people this week to draw in their big picture plan, to rough it in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And does that plan, does it have specific like marketing activities?
Right. So I think in the space here is that, you always do your SMART goal, right? And you want to make sure that it's actionable, it's measurable and all of those things,
So
right?
explain to people that acronym SMART for anyone who doesn't.
SMART. Oh, let me hit Google so I can make sure I tell them. Right. Hold
Well, you were
on.
hitting it, measurable, actionable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
not just a random goal.
Okay, here we go. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So you got to make sure all those parts are there.
Okay.
So one, make sure that again, and like Eric mentioned, like if he has a goal to like work with major brands, that if that's your goal for the fall, right? Then for him, he needs to be specific about which brand does he want to work with, right? Is it a lighting company? Is it an editing software? Is it a camera company? Like who is it that you want to work with, right? And then being honest to say, okay, well, if it's measurable, okay, if you want to work with a brand, well, how often are you posting and tagging them? How often are you having a conversation in the DM, right? Or just tagging them and commenting there? How many times did you write a blog post or offer to write a newsletter for their audience? And then being honest to say, if today is my first day reaching out to this brand, am I going to be an ambassador by October 15th? That answer probably might be no, right? But that doesn't mean that you won't do it in quarter one of 2025, right? And so just being kind of honest in that timeline, but just saying, okay, like if I want to work with brands, my first thing that I did when I was seeking sponsorship is that I never asked for money ever. I always asked for like a product credit. Could you tag or shout me out? and just making sure that I build a rapport of trust with those people, right? So, like you saw me at 1 o'clock today, I didn't look like this at all, right? No way whatsoever. But you have enough trust to know that at 1:45, I was sitting here. I had my audio on, my professional camera, my lights. I put it on, all the things, right? So that my brand for you, right, when someone's going to work with me, to know that I'm going to show up my absolute best version of myself.
And two, I feel like, and Eric, will you just let us know if you meant, if we answered your question or if you're talking about as a commercial photographer working with major brands? Like, just clarify if you're talking about a photographer getting sponsorship, being on the promotional team, or commercial photographer looking for big brands to work with. But I also think, again, going back to service, when we approach companies or brands like this, like you're talking about, I think so many people, they're so used to everybody coming with their hand out. What are you going to do for me? What am I going to get?
Mm-hmm.
What are the benefits for me? And it's so
Mm-hmm.
easy to stand out and be memorable when you say, how can I serve you? What can I do to help you and your brand? What do you need that I
For
can give
me.
to you?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that that would just be, one little tip that I would like to add. Um,
Yeah.
Tamaya, you're really good with your community about keeping people walking the walk alongside you and being accountable. So can we just drop in the chat, Cooper, can we put in the chat for everybody the link to Tomayia Colvin education? Because Tamaya, right, like you've got a newsletter. I mean, I'm on your newsletter list. So is that the best place for them to go to sign up for that newsletter?
Yeah, they can go to the website and sign up to get on the newsletter. And if you are in the space of you're kind of unsure about your marketing for Q4, this entire week and the rest of the month, I'm talking about marketing. So I'm just giving you a tidbit, just a heads up that if you're not on the email list, get on it.
Yeah.
Because that's my entire conversation for the rest of the month, just talking about marketing and staying close to you.
I think that, and I think you'll agree too, I started the top of this call by saying, you and I wouldn't, or maybe it was when we were talking in the green room, but you and I get along really well. I think there's a great respect for each other and appreciation. And I don't feel like either one of us has to pretend we're something we're not when we're with each other. But, uh, I think that a lot of that trust was built because we met each other through the Sony community and the Sony Alpha
Correct.
Female community in particular. So I want to mention that for anybody who's not already a part of our Sony Alpha Female Facebook group. It's about 14,000 members strong now. And they do
Wow.
such an incredible job of, even in that large group, fostering community, and Tamaya, like you were talking about, a safe space where people
Right.
can ask questions, or can say, I don't know how to do this, or I'm new, I'm starting, I'm learning. And there's just so many people in there who roll up their sleeves and are willing to dig in and help. So I want
Absolutely.
to
Yeah.
mention that, because if you're not already, for any of our viewers, if you're not already a part of that Sony Alpha Female Facebook group, definitely join, jump on over there and join that group, because it's just a massive resource. Wouldn't you
Yeah.
agree?
Absolutely. And don't just join and be a lurker, right? Like don't just don't be a lurker, man. Like go in the group, like introduce yourself, go to
Yep.
like there's photo walks that pop up all the time,
Yeah. They
go
are
and
doing
meet
more
people
meetups.
in your
Yeah.
community so you can, yeah, join the meetups, go to the walks that they're having so that you can have that camaraderie and the sisterhood inside of that community that's being fostered. Otherwise, you won't get anything out of just joining, right?
Right.
Every week there's a challenge. Join the challenge. Like no one asks you to be like the super duper bestest photographer of the year, right? But how else do you get better unless you're sharing your work and getting criticism, or not criticism, but feedback on like, oh, girl, your lights, whoo, sister. You know what I'm saying? Like you might want
Yeah,
to scoot that over to the left a little bit or scoot that
yeah,
over to the right. Or, do you know the exposure triangle? Well, here are some things that I think you might want to, here's a link I think might be helpful,
right,
and
right.
just keep posting and building that camaraderie that exists inside of the community. And when they're giving out grants and micro grants and things like that, like don't be afraid to apply, right? Like
Right.
even if you get a denial, at least you get practice in like submitting an application and knowing like these are the qualifications and this is how to answer. And then eventually you get better and you get better and you get better. But nothing happens unless you take the first step.
And I think that you can't overstate the value of people giving you the benefit of the doubt in a new
Right.
group. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And the value of knowing that you're going to put a piece of work up there and you're really nervous, but people aren't going to just judge you or be hate. Like there's no
Right. They're
tolerance.
not gonna, right. It's not gonna be like, "Rrr,
No,
like
no, no,
nobody's
no.
gonna say that.
No, and it's really where, so many friendships are formed online now. And I know that through this group, I've met some of my very dearest friends now over the years
Yeah.
through groups. So
Yeah.
not to beat a dead horse, but if you're not already in that Facebook group, I would encourage you guys to hop on over there. And as Tomayia said, every week there's a $500 micro grant. There's a photo contest and there's a different theme. And it's just really an active group and really, really cool. Um, okay, so my last question for you. Man, we have covered the gamut today, Tomayia. This has been awesome. I need a whole nother hour with you. Uh, my last question is, well, actually, I have two questions. I have two questions that I ask everybody. Number one is for you, is photography the passion or is it a means to an end?
People are my passion.
Okay, perfect. Second question, what is it that you hope people will learn from you? What is it? What's the mark you want to leave?
I think that you don't have to be perfect.
Great. Man, you answered those quick.
No.
I love it. I love it. Sometimes people are like, let me think about that. But it's so good. It's so good and it's so true. I think, don't you think since COVID also that we all give each other more grace, like we're all a little bit more relaxed. Like I don't have to feel,
Mhm.
I don't feel like, I mean, I wore some makeup today, but I don't feel like I have to wear makeup every day since COVID. And I
Nah,
feel like
no.
before that, I sure did. Before that, I did. And I feel like
Yeah,
we all give a little more grace now, which I am grateful for.
absolutely. Because I just pulled to do my laundry today, and I apparently the last 2 weeks I didn't wear any real clothes. It looks like I've just worn yoga pants and t-shirts, and my tennis skirt to pickleball. That's what my laundry bag looks like. So I'm appreciative, that we all get to show up as our authentic selves.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's a great note to leave it on. So, I have many thank yous for you. I love our time together. We don't get enough of it, and this makes me
No,
remember that I need to be more intentional about that because I really, really do love our time together. So, thank you for
always have a
joining
good
us
time.
today and all of these gems. Um, and we'll share the replay link. It's actually the same as the link we shared to watch it today. So it'll be the same replay link. Um,
Okay.
and of course, we have to thank B&H and Sony for giving us a platform in which we can discuss real issues, real things, ask questions, talk about some hard things, talk about some things very transparently. Without Sony giving us support and without B&H giving us this incredible platform,
Yeah.
it's pretty incredible. This is a day and age where many companies have pulled back their support that they can offer. And I feel like when COVID hit, B&H doubled down with their event space and just so much free education. So if you guys are new to B&H and their event space, please, please, please go to their library and just start making your list of all the things you want to watch. You will learn so, so much.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, so much.
and Sony just continuing to invest in photographers. There's real power in that. And I know I can speak for both of us that we love being affiliated with a brand that has that kind of culture that wants us
Absolutely.
to succeed. And not only do we really do have the best gear, but not only do that, but just the culture in which we all want to lift each other up. So thank you, B&H and Sony. Thank you to everybody for watching episode 7 of Sony Alpha Female, the interviews. Our next episode is in two more weeks, I believe. And we'll be posting about that and sharing that. Again, join our Facebook group, the Sony Alpha Female Facebook group. And we thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
All righty. Thank you guys. And happy birthday, Katrina. I know you're listening. Happy birthday. That's my community
Oh,
manager.
oh, perfect. Perfect. Thanks, Tomayia.